What is going on, everybody? Welcome into another episode. We are opening up another podcast here to talk about our favorite team, the Arizona Cardinals. And of course, I am joined by my good friend here, Mythic. What's up, brother man? How are you doing this afternoon? I think you're muted.
Of course.
There you go.
All right, I'm doing pretty well, actually. How are you doing?
I'm pretty good, man. Can't complain. But of course, we got Michael Evans here already dropping a $2 dono saying, thanks, guys, for the podcast. Go Cards. That's all
Yes,
awesome,
sir.
man. Thank you so very much already
Appreciate
for the
it.
starting up with the contribution. What are your thoughts? We're actually let's dive into this. We got a few things to talk about here, right? We got the Keontay Ingram release that we want to dive into. We want to go ahead and talk about the injury report that it's not really an injury report, but basically what has already been reported about who is in practice, who's not in practice. We're going to dive into that. And on top of that, we're going to sprinkle in some Steelers versus Cardinals. So let's talk about Keontay Ingram here. We got some breaking news, I guess, just depending on who you ask, but breaking news in the world of the Arizona Cardinals. And the Cardinals ended up releasing former running back of the Arizona Cardinals now, Keontay Ingram. And what are your thoughts on this move?
After Michael Carter got signed, I feel like it was just bound to happen because Amari DeMarcado, I feel like, is way better than Keontay Ingram has been all season long. And every time DeMarcado's gotten a chance, I feel like he's been pretty solid. Then you sign Michael Carter, he gets those like late minutes over Keontay Ingram, who I don't even know if he was playing in that game, but Michael Carter looked pretty decent. Obviously, it was a bunch of just dink and dunk yards and just like free yards, but I mean, he looked pretty solid. He came in here with the intention to at least be RB3, RB2. So Keontay Ingram was kind of just that odd man out in my eyes, and he's gone. So I like the move. I genuinely do. I feel like Keontay Ingram just hasn't got it going at all. And I know a lot of Cardinals fans wanted him to become that running back too, but he just hasn't. And that's another Steve Keim pick just out the window as well. So they're just gutting this team full of it. So I like the move genuinely. I do. I like DeMarcado and Michael Carter more than Keontay Ingram, and I feel like he was just the odd man out in this situation. You feeling the same?
Yeah, it sucks, man. It sucks because I think a lot of us want to succeed. This is his second year with the Arizona Cardinals, and we're like, okay, finally we're gonna get the opportunity, but he just never really kind of stood himself out. And we've talked about this. I think we did one play-by-play together on a Sunday, and we both kind of sat there and said every time he gets the ball, he always gets knocked back. Like it almost kind of feels like either the defense knew it or he just didn't make that explosive move, didn't make that right cut. I don't know what it is, but he always kind of felt like he was going the wrong direction. And I do get the move, but it's just kind of one of those things where, we talked about this plenty of times. There's no ties, man. There's absolutely no ties. This regime doesn't care. They don't give no Fs. If you're not performing to the level that they want you to, they're going to, remove you off this roster. And being that right now, obviously James Conner is the spearhead of this running back core. After that, Amari DeMarcado and then Michael Carter. And I think right now, per the IR, I'm still seeing Marlon Mack on there as well. But what is your level of comfort? Obviously not for this year, but like moving forward until next year, because running back was a very big concern for me heading into this year, but I get it, right? We're rebuilding. We wanted to see who we had, but what is your level of comfort heading into next year with, like, let's say, for example, James Conner, Amari DeMarcado, and a Michael Carter? Do you feel like you're comfortable with that heading into 2024, or would you like the Arizona Cardinals to make a move somewhere, free agency or the draft?
I feel like it's a pretty good unit. That's not a bad unit whatsoever, especially with Michael Carter. I like it. Health obviously plays a big factor. James Conner is a big X factor. If James Conner's playing and can play most of the regular season, then we have no problems with that unit, in my opinion. Obviously, you would like to have like a Jonathan Taylor, but you don't have the money for that. And you're paying James Conner big bucks already. But I feel like James Conner as the number one running back is pretty solid. I like the unit. It's just health. Health is scary with James Conner, and that's what it's been. But if James Conner stays healthy, I like Michael Carter, DeMarcado, and Marlon Mack. I like it.
Yeah, I think it could be sneaky good. But I think you hit that right on the head. Health. That's the biggest thing, man. That's what worries me. And I think that was one of my biggest points in terms of like why I was so worrisome heading into this year, because although I think we all like James Conner, right? We love his rate, his run style. We love the way he plays, his physicality. But I think in the grand scheme of things, he's not able to stay healthy, and we're seeing that throughout the entirety of his career with the Steelers as well as now with the Arizona Cardinals. So pretty concerning there. And I do hope that the Cardinals, personally, can maybe address a running back position. Maybe we could use like a mid-round or mid to late round pick on a running back, because people are finding them. People are finding them in the draft, and I hope the Cardinals can maybe do something like that if they choose to do so. I don't see them going after anybody in free agency. We are still paying James Conner a good amount of money, so I don't see them going anybody after free agency. Do you see anything happen, either the draft or free agency, or you think we're going to stay pat with what we have?
Maybe someone later in the draft if there's a prospect they like, because we saw in this last draft, I believe, is Kyron Williams a rookie?
He is a rookie. Yeah,
Pick in the 5th round. So I mean, he told people as soon as he got drafted, he's gonna make people regret letting him drop to the 5th round. It seems like the only team necessarily regretting that is the Arizona Cardinals, because he's popped off for 140 yards 2 times. So yeah, I mean, it's like 200 yards combined last game. So I was sick that Kyron Williams has done that. But I don't know. It's tough. Maybe a later round pick. I don't think they're going to do anything early in the draft or free agency, like you said. So if it does, it'll maybe be like a 5th or 6th round pick. And the last time we took a running back like that, it was Keontay. And it just didn't pan out. So maybe they go a different route.
Let me correct myself. Actually, he's not a rookie this year. He was actually picked up number 164th overall in the 2022 NFL draft, not the 2023. Okay. I apologize about that. I think there was some injury. That's probably why we haven't seen him, or it might have been because Cam Akers. We don't 100% know. But yeah, no, he's not a rookie. This is his 2nd year, but we're starting to see him more because obviously opportunity.
Yeah, because Akers got shipped to Minnesota.
Yep.
Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think it's tough. I think it's definitely tough. Do you think it'll be a later round pick that the Cardinals go? Maybe like a 5th?
Maybe. I mean, we got a lot of picks, man. We got 13 picks. And I'm not saying designate one of those top 100 picks, because I think the last time we looked, the Arizona Cardinals have 5 picks in the top 100? As long as everything stays kind of the same, right?
6. I think we have 3/3, 2.
You're right.
1.
6.
2 first and then a second.
Yeah,
we have a lot of capital.
We got a lot of capital. You're 100% right. We got the 2nd, the 17th, the 34th, the 66th, 72nd, and then the 81st right now where it stands. Obviously, it could be fluctuated depending on wins and losses on the other teams and compared to us as well. But after those 6, we got the 102nd, and then we got the 133rd in terms of the 4th round. So maybe we can allocate somewhere in the 130s, maybe 133, 137. We've seen teams get pretty good talent, in terms of running back, because I think running back is still kind of one of those positions that is not seen very, very highly in the NFL draft, pertaining to like a 1st round, unless you're a Bijan Robinson or a Saquon Barkley. But we're starting to see like you can get a gem, right? Like your Pacheco, right, from the Chiefs, and on top of like Kyron Williams as well. So we've seen that people can do it. So why not the Cardinals?
Hopefully, right? Monty looks pretty good in the draft. So whatever he takes, like I genuinely am very confident. Like even if it's a player that I'm just like, oh dang, I wanted this guy. Right. I wanted this guy. I'm gonna rock with it because he's giving me no reason not to. I mean, Dante Stills, Garrett Williams, like he's making clutch pick Michael Wilson. Like all these later round picks have panned out for us so far in their first years. Garrett Williams looks like someone we could at least build around or like develop. Michael Wilson looks the exact same way. Dante Stills looks pretty good. Like we have players. Like genuinely, and then obviously Paris, like we got guys. So Monty's given us nothing to like stir. Obviously, there's a couple trades where we're like, dang, he just cut D-Hop or traded Simmons or whatever. It looks pretty well. That's all I'm gonna say.
No, and I agree with that. I think the idea of potential, the idea of like we can develop, I think we'll take that, obviously, because the year we're having, there's not really much expectation, but a lot of us want to see the rookies, right? And we've seen Garrett Williams in his first game already have an interception. Now we haven't really seen anything outside that, but like he's still making play. He's still out there, right? And I think he's progressing. He's progressing to get more and more playing time. Right now, he's not 100% in terms of getting playing time. We saw Marco Wilson get benched, so we're maybe starting to see the turn around where maybe Keytrell Clark gets more playing time, and then Garrett Williams, and then a lot of the younger guys maybe. We'll see.
Did you see what came out?
What's
the depth chart?
No.
the corner depth chart, Marco Wilson is officially bench. Like I know he was benched last game, but I'm gonna go ahead and pull this up real quick.
Whoa, I got it right here. I'm actually looking at it, and the only reason why I brought it up, there you go. Thank you.
If you take a look, we got Garrett Williams, number
Whoa.
1, Starling Thomas, Catrell Clark, Antonio Hamilton, Marco Wilson on the back end, like officially listed. Like we saw him not play, but like it's officially listed now on the depth chart that he is benched.
Whoa, that is crazy. I guess all the chattering finally paid off here for the Arizona Cardinals. When did this happen? Today? Yesterday?
I believe yesterday, 2 days ago.
I did not even notice that. That is
Yeah, yesterday.
crazy. Thanks for pointing that out.
Insane. I mean, this is what we wanted. Cardinals obviously probably turned on the tape. They saw the I mean, his PFF grades are absolutely dog dookie, but obviously no one pays attention to PFF because they're super inaccurate. But
Yeah.
I mean, they kind of speak for themselves when they're that low. And at the end of the day, they probably turned on tape and are like, wow, this guy cannot cover anything. And we've been preaching it, right? Everyone in the chat has been preaching it. We've been preaching it. We've been wanting this to happen for so long. Marco Wilson, it's so overdue. I mean, it's like the Trey McBride thing, right? Like it's like the obvious move. Like Zach Ertz is struggling. We have a young tight end in the back. And then it's like, hey, Marco Wilson sucks. Like, I think they were just waiting for Garrett Williams to come back. And then they see the steps taken. They're like, okay, cool. Let's rock with Starling. This is what I said too. Marco, bench, rock with Starling, Cottrell, and then Garrett Williams.
I mean, what do we got to lose, right? I mean, that's kind of one of those things where we've talked about this before. What do we got to lose is an evaluation year. We need to find out what these guys can do. And we've seen Marco Wilson constantly get burnt like burnt toast. And this is not just this year. And I feel really bad to like, obviously talk bad about a kid that, worked so hard to get back into the NFL. But like in the grand scheme of things, like, was he put in a terrible position? Yes, he was. But in the grand, this is not just 1 year. Like we've been saying this for years and years and years that this needs to be addressed. And unfortunately, he's the guy that a lot of people pointed the finger to because he seemed to be the guy that always kind of gave up that 3rd and long and never can seem to take a guy out or take a guy down. So it needed to happen. Wow, I didn't know this. That's crazy. Okay, well, I mean, this is proof, Mythic. This is proof that honestly, fans and content creators and people in media and all this stuff, they do have a voice, man. I'm not saying the Cardinals benched Marco Wilson because we told them to. I'm not saying that, but like the noise has kind of gotten to the public eye to the point where everybody's starting to chatter about it, right? Even if it's just, 2 people talking about it on a podcast, but that word is spreaded for other people's ears to kind of see the same thing is really what I'm kind of going after saying. So
yeah,
it's
there's
crazy.
A bunch of people kind of agreeing now, actually saying that it's a problem. It's a problem.
It is a problem. Wow. All right. Well, okay. Well, there's that. Now let's segue into something here that I probably isn't the best thing to talk about, and it's this. We ended up getting a report here from Tyler Drake from 98.7 Arizona Sports. Not this. I apologize. This is not what I wanted to bring up. Basically, he has already who's not available in practice. And I'm going to bring that screenshot up here pretty soon. But one of them is Michael Wilson. Can you talk to me right now how you're feeling about Michael Wilson, maybe not playing again for the 3rd straight week? We don't 100% know, but he wasn't in practice today. While I get everything set up here in the background, what are your thoughts here on Michael Wilson, and are you concerned about injury?
Yeah, let me go ahead and dive in. It is concerning. It is pretty concerning because 3 weeks in a row, it's not fun, right? This is somebody who you want to play. This is your only big body receiver. I kind of dived into this on my video yesterday. If you guys watched it, the Marvin Harrison one, we need a big body receiver. If you compare a 6'4" with Michael Wilson, who's like what, 6'2", 6'3", you're good. But Greg Dortch is like 5'7". So Rondale Moore is like 5'7". And then Hollywood Brown's like 5'9". You got 5'9", 5'9", 5'7", or whatever it is on the field. It's hard. It really is. And then you're losing your one big body receiver, and we won the game where Michael Wilson played against the Atlanta Falcons, I believe.
True.
So that was a game that Kyler Murray was under center a lot more. He's been in shotgun ever since. And I think everyone agrees that Kyler Murray in shotgun all game isn't what we want.
Yeah.
I think he's better utilized under center. Like, genuinely, I do. I feel like it provides a lot of mismatches. Even if there's someone in his face off the edge or they read it perfectly, Kyler Murray still has the speed to escape.
Yeah.
And he can outrun people, and either there's going to be a bootleg, there's going to be something deep, and even if it's covered, Kyler Murray has a chance to make a play or just throw it away. Like, there's a lot of things that you can do with Kyler Murray under center, even if it's just the run game being established or whatever it is, read options. You can do a lot more. Like, there's just so much more. And I know the height concerns there, but like, I feel like it's the best thing. It's the best thing for this offense. Obviously, you can mix some shotgun in. You don't have to go all center. Obviously, it's an
Right.
NFL offense, right? There's combos, but like, I'd like to see more than 50% under center. And then, especially with these 5 whatever receivers, I get it's tough because it's just a lot to get these guys in space, and they're going to have to create separation for themselves because they're not going to be able to make the contested catches
Right.
that a Marvin Harrison or a Michael Wilson would be able to make. It's tough. I get it. It's tough to scheme. And that's why I'm not necessarily blaming Petzing or Kyler yet, because realizing what you have with a pretty bad offensive line, quarterback coming off an ACL injury, James Conner coming off of his injury as well, getting 6 carries. I feel like that's Petzing's fault, getting James Conner 6 carries. That has to be improved. But then you have smaller receivers. So I think it's pretty difficult to scheme around that. And then obviously Michael Wilson, I think, is huge, like huge, absolutely huge for this offense. You can't make up that height. The height, big body, contested catches. We've seen him make them all season long when given the opportunity. And losing him again would suck because it'd just be genuinely just running with a bunch of smaller receivers on the field, which I don't want to see again.
Yeah, it seems like we're always kind of rolling that same way here. Now, if you don't know what Mythic's talking about, this is what I was originally talking about here. This is the report. He says this: I did not see Arizona Cardinals wide receivers Hollywood Brown and Michael Wilson, quarterback Starling Thomas and Antonio Hamilton, or Jalen Thompson during the open portion of practice on Wednesday. Trey McBride wasn't uniform, but watching on the sidelines. And I think there was another report that came out and said that he might have had just like a veteran day off. So, there's some people on this list that I'm not really too worried about. We've seen Hollywood Brown on the injury report, but he kind of comes back on Sundays and everything's good to go. But Michael Wilson's really the big one that kind of opens our eyes, right? Because he's missed 2 games already, and actually he's missed more than 3 games now, because I think he missed a game, he came back in Atlanta, and then he missed another 2 games. So he's been missing a lot. And I think that was a concern when we drafted him. If this kid can stay healthy, this kid could be good. This kid could be a really good wide receiver for the Arizona Cardinals. And at this point, anybody over 6 foot, we want on our roster, because we want that contestant catch. We want that jump ball catch, right? That's what we're looking for in a wide receiver. And not having Michael Wilson out there. And it's crazy that we're depending so much on a rookie wide receiver, but like in the grand scheme of things, you can't be rolling in a pro style NFL offense with guys under 5'10", 5'11", right? Or at least not all of them. You can have that speedster guy, but like in the grand scheme of things, it's just not going to cut it. It's not going to work out here for the longevity of your offense. So it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah. It's definitely unfortunate. Hopefully he's able to at least come back for one of these games towards the back end, because we don't have many left.
Only 5, man. We got one more game, and I think the bye week, right? And then we finish off with 4 games afterwards. Is that correct?
Yeah.
Right?
I believe this week, bye week, and then 4 games to finish the stretch.
Wow. It's crazy that we have our bye week so late, but I mean, we'll see, man. We'll see what happens. Obviously, we got the Steelers coming up this weekend, and we're going to dive into a little later on here in terms of like what we feel like is going to happen, what we need to happen in order for us to even stay competitive. Because honestly, at this moment, I'm not even talking about a win. I'm just talking about, can we get better from what we saw versus the Rams?
Honestly, what's crazy is I'm at a point where I just want Kyler to come in here and have good games.
That's what it is.
After that, I want to lose. I want to lose out.
I don't blame you, man.
I want a chance for the number 1. And then I don't want to drop past 2. I don't want to drop past 2. I just came to the conclusion, like, obviously I want a Marvin Harrison, but it's like I don't want anybody else. Like, genuinely, I don't.
You don't want anybody other than Marvin Harrison, you said?
Nah, not for that first pick. I just want Marvin Harrison. I think it makes too much sense. It's so generational. Like, I've been wanting him, but it's like I started making the video and I was like, yeah, we need it. Right, we need 2 big body receivers and pair of Hollywood or something, and you can have, like, Hollywood just has a speed. Like, I know Hollywood's more of an outside receiver, and that's kind of like where he's fitted. But I feel like Hollywood in the slot would be pretty good. I feel like you have a lot of mismatches with Hollywood in the slot, and that's not his natural position. He plays X a lot, and he's like the team's number 1. That's what he's been running for the past 2 seasons. But I feel like he can make that adjustment.
Okay, so what do you think happens to Rondell?
I mean, wide receiver 4. Wide receiver 4. I mean, you can never have enough receivers. One person goes down, then you have someone step. I mean, he'll still get playing time too when
Yeah,
someone
yeah.
gasses out or they're tired.
Yeah, it's not like those wide receivers are going to be on the field every single time. No, that's
Yeah,
for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
When what Rondale Moore was picked up in what, the 2021 NFL draft, right? I'm trying to.
Yes, I believe with Marco.
Okay, yeah, 2021, and I remember it was the second round. And when we drafted him, I'm not gonna lie to you, man, I was not happy with it. I was like,
Really?
here, yeah, I wasn't. No, because we just came off a if it wasn't the year prior, then it was probably the year after that, but it's the whole DK Metcalf, Andy Isabella situation. And then I was one of those guys that said, oh, here we go, another short wide receiver. And I think I was the one of the guy that called him Andy Isabella 2.0. And it kind of got so much people ramped up and being like, oh my God, he squats 600 and blah, 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 blah. Mike, you're too hard on Rondale Moore. And he's not going to be like Andy Isabella. And I mean, now we're kind of figuring out that, like, it's not like Rondale Moore is Andy Isabella 2.0, but like, he really hasn't been a big impactful play for the Cardinals, especially at a second round pick. Like, when you're talking about a second round pick, you need him to be a Buda Baker. I mean, that might be too much expectation, but you need him to still be a staple point in your offense, right? Maybe not Buda Baker, but like a top guy where you can be like, okay,
Like a
well,
Tyler Lockett.
yeah, like a Tyler Lockett. Perfect. Yeah. Where he's not
Yeah.
dominant, where he's not a guy where you're like, oh yeah, superstar dude, but like he's a dependable guy that you have on that position. And Rondale Moore just hasn't been that guy. He just hasn't been that guy for me. And still to the day. So although I like the Marvin Harrison Jr. Pick at 2, like let's say for example we do stay at 2, but just prepare yourself. You included, Mythic, that the noise is only going to get louder. In that, I'm just saying for a possible quarterback to possibly get picked. I'm not saying they need it or they want it. The noise is going to get loud.
Oh, it will.
It's going to get loud.
If we sneak into that one spot somehow. Ooh.
I made a stream yesterday, and honestly, I don't think it's out of the question for the Arizona Cardinals to possibly sneak in that one spot. Truly, I don't feel like it's impossible, because you have a Panthers team that's sitting at number 1. Obviously, it's Chicago's pick. They have no incentivized to lose. We saw that the owner just fire Frank Reich because they haven't won a game. I'm not saying that's going to give them the juice to win, right? That organization is completely in shambles right now. And a lot of people are pointing the finger at the owner and saying you're dysfunctional. But like, Bryce Young has all the incentivized to win games. Does he have the weapons? Probably not. But they want to win. They absolutely do want to win. If they end up the first overall, that doesn't benefit them at all. At all. They want to see a progression. And on top of that, the Texans. The Texans have a pretty good stretch coming our way. They have the Broncos, which at one point I would say, they would beat the Broncos. Now the Broncos are playing pretty darn good. So we want the Texans to obviously keep losing, help out that second pick, and then we might hit the first overall pick. And like I said, if we're hitting the first overall pick, expect the noise, because it's going to come with the territory.
Yeah. I know the direction I want to go. Like, you have like a general sense. Like, I genuinely sense that the Cardinals are going to rock with Kyler, but like, there's always that like level. Like, I could be 80% sure. I'm not within the organization.
Right.
So it's like, I don't know. It's just like based on feels and vibes, and it's tough going off feels and vibes, because it's like, that only does so much. Because you can be right sometimes, you can be wrong sometimes. And it's just like whatever you feel without knowing. And I have a general sense that Kyler's the guy. I'm not 100%.
Right,
obviously, because if we sneak into that one spot, I feel like there will be talks.
Well, that's the thing. Like, it depends. Like, if we're 0-5, but we're competitive, and we're seeing our offense starting to get better and click, honestly, to me, I can make a judgment to say, okay, well, let's give him one more year, right? Let's give him some more weapons, and not weapons for him, but let's build this team out for any quarterback to be in a better situation, whether it's Kyler or somebody else, right? I can be in that situation, but if he struggles like he does against the Rams, that's when the Sharks will come. That's all I'm saying. I'm not saying they should move. We got 5 games. Anything can happen. Anything can happen. We could beat the Pittsburgh Steelers for all we know, which I don't think will happen. But we can.
It's possible. I don't know how possible, but it definitely is. And speaking of quarterbacks, can we talk about Josh Dobbs real quick?
Yes,
real
please
quick.
Do. Yeah,
quick. I mean, his insanity run is over, ladies and
gentlemen.
gentlemen.
It's coming to an end. It is.
I told y'all, like he had it with the Cardinals, right? The first 3-4 games, and it fell off. Then he goes to the Vikings, looks pretty decent in his first like 3 games, making crazy plays. I can't discredit that, right? Like I watched the games, he was evading sacks like crazy. Last game was Josh Dobbs-esque, right?
Yeah.
185 yards. He struggles to pass for over 200, and when he does, I mean, it's shocking. Right, it's shocking when he goes over like 210. And you're like, wow, it's a great game for him, right? Because you expect him to be in that like 180. He threw 4 interceptions, 4 picks.
4 picks. Yeah, it was a shock for a lot of people that really wanted to keep Josh Dobbs. For Cardinals. But in the grand scheme of things, this evaluation needed to happen. Regardless if we go 2 wins for the rest of this evaluation needed to happen. And I think that's what people are not understanding. That this needs to happen because the biggest reason why is because Kyler Murray is getting paid a lot of money, and he's only going to get paid more money per year starting next year. So we need to find out where we are with Kyler. So 0-5 for the last 5 games. If we're competitive, maybe, right? Maybe we'll keep him. But if we see struggles, that's where I think it's going to get louder and louder. So that's just, I want to put that out there. I do see somebody here in the chat saying rookie of the year, 2-time Pro Bowler, got to the playoff at least once, then tears his knee. Come on now, don't be stubborn. I'm assuming, I think they're having a conversation amongst each other here. But I mean, what is your sense of Kyler Murray? And then we'll dive into Steelers versus Cardinals. Like, do you feel like in these 5 years, Kyler Murray has proven to be a franchise quarterback to you? Like, your opinion. Don't even worry about the chat. What do you think?
Yeah. I mean, this is my argument, right? Like, I'll go back and forth with people in my chat all the time, right? Because, like, genuinely, this is a guy. Like, let me go ahead and pull up his career stats, but he is the rookie of the year, right? Kyler Murray was the best rookie in his draft class. Obviously, the number 1 overall draft pick. You should be. But, I mean, career stats, 66.5% completion percentage, almost 15,000 yards, 86 touchdowns, 43 interceptions, and that's just passing. Right, that's not even his rushing stats. Let me go ahead and pull those up real quick. But on top of that, he made his way to 2 Pro Bowls. 2 Pro Bowls. Was an MVP candidate at 7-0 until he got hurt, lost that Packers game. He missed some time after that. So people are like, oh, you're only going off half the season. He did get hurt and honestly put the team in position to win that game. He led the game-winning drive. It's just A.J. Green decided not to turn it around. Then Colt McCoy played a couple games, kept us alive. For the most part, won a couple crucial games in that season, but Kyler Murray looked pretty good, and he hasn't been surrounded with talent, genuinely. He took over one of the worst offenses literally in NFL history. Like, the team he took over before with Steve Wilkes, that team was horrible. That offense couldn't do anything. That Josh Rosen offense, if you guys remember, if we put up 10 points, it was a blessing. It was a blessing to put up 10 points. So I don't know. I feel like people really don't remember what we have in Kyler and honestly kind of take it for granted. Obviously, we have seen some decline last year, like with his deep ball. The deep ball wasn't there. The deep ball still hasn't like necessarily been there to the expectation it was when he was fantastic. And people are saying he won 0 playoff games, but how many of these rosters were genuinely built for the playoffs? I feel like this was a rebuild year. Maybe last year you could have argued was like a potential playoff opportunity. The one time where we made the playoffs and started 7-0, we weren't even looked at as a playoff team necessarily. We were looked at as like, oh, they could be decent. And then we start off whatever, and they're like, oh, they're the best team in the league. This team might actually make some noise. Like, we don't get hype like that, like going into this. Like, as Cardinals fans, we're his first 2 seasons looked at as like he should make the playoffs? I don't think so. I mean, I actually do. The second one, it was just a lot of missed field goals, if you remember. That wasn't really on Kyler.
But
Zane Gonzalez sold like 3 games himself.
Right. But isn't that an expectation from the fan base, though? Like, because, I mean, we're seeing a rookie in C.J. Stroud in the brink of taking his team in the playoffs in the 1 year. Like, I feel like that's just kind of our fan base not giving the expectation. Like, that shouldn't, like, that's the thing, too. Like, I'm sorry, I'll continue to have you make your point. Like, but, like, it's not like it's so far-fetched to think that a rookie can take a guy or to a team to the playoffs. Now, we'll give Dak Prescott his flowers for doing that in his rookie year. Now, granted, yes, the Cowboys were in a way better situation than the Cardinals ever were. CJ Stroud, I think that's the best comparable situation that we are finding ourselves in now, because right now people want to look at CJ Stroud and say, oh, he's got so much talent. Nobody knew who the hell Tank Dell was coming into the draft. Nobody knew who the hell any of their offensive linemen, short of Laramie Tunsil. Like, that's it. Like, nobody knew anything. The Cardinals were supposed to be what the Texans, or the Texans were supposed to be what the Cardinals were. You put a rookie kid there that can elevate the rest of the team, everybody looks better. And now we're heading into week 13, and now everybody's like, oh, well, the Texans are better. What? In what world did anybody think the Texans were going to be better? Like, at all? Who would have thought? Nobody did. So I'm just continue. I apologize.
I feel like the Texans, I don't know. The Texans are weird. Like, their season's just so bizarre. I feel like no one expects it, and they have no film on anybody, so it's hard to like understand what you're playing against. It's kind of just like new football for the NFL, right? There's no film on CJ Stroud in the NFL. There's no anything on Tank Dell, like these receivers, like how they're going to run the offense. So it's like you're just going into this like scheming on just like not knowing anything. So it is kind of tough. And CJ Stroud has been playing fantastic all season long.
Yeah.
Can't discredit that at all.
Exactly.
So it's weird looking at that, but I don't know. We've seen teams though struggle, and then we've also seen rookie quarterbacks come in and be fantastic. So I don't know. It's like super hit or miss. But like the thing with Kyler, let me know if you kind of agree. He came into the league taking over a 3-13 team. We all remember that team being horrendous. And then Cliff Kingsbury got hired and everything. We go 5-10-1 the next season, right? Improvement. We honestly looked pretty decent at the beginning of the season, where we almost beat the Ravens. First game, we tied. I don't remember who it was, but we tied it, came back, and we were like, okay. Like, we saw the fight. Like, Fitz had a great game, I'm pretty sure.
Mm-hmm.
And then going into 2020, the year we should have made the playoffs, where Zane Gonzalez choked it, we finished 8-8. That was tough. I believe that was the year Patrick Peterson got suspended or whatever, came back halfway through. We beat the Giants in the rain, the statement game or whatever, and we were looking to bounce back, and we just like kept losing games. I think this was like the Hail Murray year.
Mm-hmm.
But we just had like Zane Gonzalez, dude. I just remember missing like 3 game-winning field goals. When it was like the Patriots, like it just hate Zane Gonzalez, man.
Yeah,
always from the bottom of my heart. And then 2021, the year we made the playoffs, we went 11-6. Kyler went hurt, went down, and got killed by the Rams. Right, the Rams won the Super Bowl this year. Tough, just tough. That was a bad loss. It seemed like everyone was playing injured. Like Rodney Hudson, I don't remember if he played or not, but if he did, he played hurt. DeAndre Hopkins wasn't playing because his hamstring. And then Kyler Murray was coming back from an injury. JJ Watt played with like a torn bicep or something. And it was like, is he going to play? And then JJ Watt comes back and we're all like so excited, but then it's just like we got obliterated. So, I mean, I feel like that season was a success, although we got blown out. You don't want to get blown out in the playoffs, but it's tough. And then last year, 4-13, right? That was just the ugliest. I don't even know how to pinpoint that. D-Hop gone for the first 8 games. The season just started off bad. Vibes all the way around were bad. People were calling for Cliff's name, like to start the season, Keim. And then they get extensions, and it's just like, what are we doing? Like, what is the organization doing? Like, after I was calling for Keim's job after that, Cliff, I even made a video talking about a head coach. I was like, oh yeah, well, let's go ahead and get like Brian Flores, somebody else, just not Cliff, because Cliff isn't it. And I was like, I don't mind giving him another chance. Like, I don't mind it, but I don't think it's the smartest thing.
You're talking about year 4? That's when you're talking?
When we got eliminated from the playoffs.
I wanted them gone.
Like rolling into the next season, I wanted them all gone. And then they got extended. And I was like, what? Like, how? What are we doing? Why are we giving them more years? Like, this is supposed to be like an evaluation season at the minimum for both of these guys. And they get extended and obviously fired going into the next season. Steve Keim has health problems. That's probably their way of saying he got fired and canned. But
nothing that happened
in the nicest way. Yeah, right. Nothing happened. And then we go 4-13. Kyler tears his ACL. Just bad year. D-Hop, 8 games. And then this season, no one expected anything. Right. I mean, I feel like Cardinals fans like went into last season optimistic just because we made the playoffs, but then Rodney Hudson retires, Justin Pugh's not on the team. Like, we lose all these key players, JJ Watt, Byron Murphy, Zach Allen. It's like you kind of knew that you have a lot of players gone, that it's going to be tough. Or Zach Allen and Byron Murphy left this offseason, but JJ Watt, Justin Pugh, Rodney Hudson, like you lose the majority of your offensive line, and it's just like super tough. And then this year, obviously, just no one expected anything.
So you still think that Kyler Murray can bring in Lombardi? Because that's what I mean.
I
That's
yeah,
what I mean by franchise quarterback.
I
Bring in
think
Lombardi
so.
to the Cardinals.
I
Okay.
think so. I think this roster is just constructed really bad, built under Steve Keim, and I mean, no F's given says it. It was Steve Keim's doing. Like genuinely, this roster's getting gutted by another GM because he sees how bad it is from the past regime, right? Like he's not cutting every single player and releasing every single player that the former GM brought because they're good. It's because they suck. Isaiah Simmons, who was the number 6-9 overall pick, got traded for a seventh.
Yep.
A seventh rounder. This is an evaluated first round pick. There's a reason he fell to 8. I think we can all agree. There's a reason he fell to 8. I mean, people were saying he was generational, could play all the way around the field. But I mean, if he was so generational and had no flaws in his game, he would have been a top 5 pick.
We should have known, man. Well, we saw him struggle in the rookie year, but of course, how we do things is we gotta allow this kid to continue to develop. I still remember because I was up in arms and I was like, oh my god, he's getting burnt toast. Because I still remember that angle route that the 49ers put us on. I think it was Mostert, if I'm not mistaken, that he just took it to the house, and it was all because of the assignment that Isaiah Simmons missed. But let me get to this contribution here for no F's given. He says, when are fans going to see what the real problem is? It was Keim's doing, his failures to build a proper roster and the lack of experience on draft. Well, we agree with this, right? I don't think anybody has, or at least let me take this and I'll have you jump on it as well. I don't think anybody's talking about that Keim didn't destroy this roster. That's not where I guess the debate is. The debate is Kyler Murray the guy? Because yeah, I mean, if Keim did give him the supporting staff to get a proper offensive line, then we probably wouldn't be in the situation, or maybe we can evaluate Kyler Murray a lot better, right? Like, that's the biggest thing out there. Like, we can both acknowledge that Kyler Murray is a dynamic player when healthy, right? He can run out of the pocket. He should be able to make these throws. He's got really good accuracy. I mean, short with these last games that we've been seeing with these like floppy throws and not being able to connect very, very well with Marquise Hollywood Brown. But like, we know that what we've seen before of Kyler Murray, we're all hoping on a prayer that he can become back to that level of MVP type of player, right? You know, take away the rookie quarter or the rookie of the year. I'm talking about MVP type of Kyler Murray. That's what we're looking for. I'm not looking for a 5-win team and trying to be like, oh, he scored 3 touchdowns this game. No, I don't care. My main thing is come back to MVP type of level because you're getting paid to that portion. What is your take on this? And then I'll give you my thoughts on if I feel like Kyler Murray is the guy right now.
I agree. I feel like this roster is just so bad right now. And when Kyler's had talent, obviously it has to be, you want to put him in the best situation possible. And we saw him win a game. His record's 1-2 on the season, coming off an ACL tear. Could be 2-1. The Rams game, we just didn't have a chance. Looked bad. But we could be 2-1. Obviously it's what ifs, but we are 1-2 with Kyler. Right. And Josh Dobbs went 1-7. The people's quarterback, the Pastronaut, as people love to proclaim him.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I feel like people are so lenient with Josh Dobbs when he had a 1-7 record and kind of just babied him. But Kyler Murray's 1-2, could be 2-1 easily, and we're just crapping on him. So I don't know. The talent's not there, obviously, but Kyler's done more with less, and coming off a major surgery. So I don't know. I feel like it's a lot of hate coming Kyler's way. Like, I get it. He's getting paid a lot, but 1-2, I feel like people look at the record and are like expecting Kyler to go on this magical run towards the back end. Like, we're just like, he's taken over the Cleveland Browns or whatever, right? And they're going from just bum quarterback to like elite talent. We're just supposed to like go crazy and just go. We're supposed to go on a stretch of 5-1. Like, we came into the season with like a predicted 3 wins.
All right.
3 wins. We're at 2. We're at 2. Kyler's 1-2. So obviously Kyler needs to go ahead and clean things up. Like, there's a couple wobbly throws, misreads. Obviously he's not on point. Like, he's not as sharp as you wish he was, but he is in a new offense, new scheme, new everything, coming off a major surgery, trying to find himself again.
Yeah.
I've seen enough in the 3 games so far. I wouldn't bench him. I would let him knock this rust off completely and get comfortable with himself and learn the offense fully. But I feel like Kyler is the guy with a lot of hate. A lot of hate. I mean, even Underdog came out with like a promotion where every incompletion Kyler gets are giving away a Call of Duty copy or something. Like the hate is absurd with Kyler, right? Like Tyreek Hill is such an avid gamer, but will get posted on Bleacher Report,
Right.
left and right, of
Yeah.
like, oh my gosh, this is so funny. But Kyler plays Call of Duty. It's like, shut up, midget. Go to the
Right.
gym. Go work on whatever, your garbage, right? Like if Tyreek Hill doesn't win a Super Bowl, then I feel like it still wouldn't happen. I don't know. I just feel like it's just a Kyler Murray thing. Bryce Young gets killed too. I think it's just like a midget thing, like genuinely. But Tyreek Hill's like 5'9", so I don't get it. I really don't get it.
Yeah.
Maybe it's just a quarterback thing, but Bryce Young has been getting crapped on, and people are so quick to deem people bust too. I hate it. Hate it. There's no development at all anymore. Like you'll watch him play 5 games, and it's like, this guy sucks. I want to see someone else. It's like, bro, like let the guy work his way. And like the NFL is so different than it was years ago. Like quarterbacks used to not start. Now they're starting, just getting thrown into the fire, like expected to just take over the worst team in the NFL and just transcend them in a year and a half. It's like, bro, this team was literally the number 1 overall pick. Like, what are we talking about? Like, this was the worst team last year. Like, I get it's one player. It's like the quarterback, but like this guy's never played in the NFL. What are we doing? Let the guy have 2 or 3 years, right? Like, I don't know. It's tough.
No, it is tough. And I'm glad you have this passion, man, honestly, because like you're either going to be right or you're going to be wrong, right? In the grand scheme of things. I mean, right? That's just what it comes down to. And it's cool to back your quarterback. And I think I get all your points. I think the frustration where Cardinal fans are coming from is this is year 5, right? Year 5 of Kyler Murray. And I'm looking at these stats pertaining to Kyler Murray's win-loss record for the 5 years. Kyler Murray right now is 26, 33, and 1 in the games played. And obviously there's some games that Kyler Murray hasn't played, so the numbers automatically don't match up to the 5 year for the 5 years total, but he's 26, 33, and 1. Franchise quarterback, a guy that's going to win you a Super Bowl. I don't know if I'm there yet. Right now, I like Kyler Murray too. I'm right there with you. Do I want to give him this opportunity? Do I want to give him these 5 games? Yeah, of course. I think it's very important for Kyler Murray to finish off strong. And I'm not saying wins. Please clip this. I'm not saying wins. I'm not saying wins for Kyler Murray. I'm just saying play good. Play good, play competitive. Give us a chance of saying you're the guy. You're the dude. And I get it, right? Big injury. But right now, what Kyler Murray has done versus the Rams, he's beat the Rams once since 2019. You want to win a Super Bowl? You want to win the playoffs? You got to go through your division. Kyler Murray hasn't done that. Yes, we can blame Cliff. Yes, you can blame this. You can blame that. But when do we actually show accountability to the guy that's the number 1 guy that gets the flowers when we win, right? Because I remember when we beat the Atlanta Falcons, how many times did we play this clip?
Let's go! Come on, man.
We gave him the flowers. We gave him the opportunity to say, hey, good job, dude. You did great, right? But when we lose, I'm not saying you're giving excuses, but the excuses start flowing. You know what I mean? We do got to give accountability to Kyler Murray. And a franchise quarterback, I expect him to have a better record than 26, 33, and 1. And not just that, the injuries are a big concern. Injuries are a huge concern. Big concern for Kyler Murray. That's
the one thing. That's the one thing for me is the injuries, but everything else, I feel like Murray's looked pretty good, right? Like Kyler Murray doesn't have the talent. He doesn't have stability around him. There's no stability. There's no like players that he's just growing with. Like genuinely, he's not growing with anybody. This is first year under new regime, gutted roster. Let them build the team for 2 years. And I feel like either in year 2 or year 3 or year 4 of this regime, it takes time. You're not going to turn whatever and you're not going to turn it over in one season. Like next year, we're not going to go win the Lombardi. And if we do, then I don't know.
Yeah.
But like, we're not going to. And like, people are so quick to like, I don't know. People are so quick to write people off. Like, do you think Justin Herbert's a franchise quarterback?
Not really, to be honest with you. Yeah. Well, I mean, but here's the thing. This is the problem that I think we're dealing with. Look at all these teams. All these teams, I kid you not, most of these teams are struggling with the quarterback issue. Kyler Murray seems to be one of the creme de la creme compared to most of these quarterbacks. Justin Herbert got paid. To me, what a franchise quarterback is not you got paid, is can you win the big games? Can you win the Lombardi? That's what a franchise quarterback is to me. It is a Patrick Mahomes. That's what a franchise quarterback. So my definition of a franchise quarterback might be a little, it might be a little, what's the word? Harder. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I don't care that you got paid. You're going to get paid because you're probably one of the best of the 32. That doesn't mean you're going to win Lombardi. Franchise quarterback means you're a consistent guy year in and year out, and we just haven't seen that with Kyler. And I'm not saying give up on Kyler. I'm not saying that. We have 5 games. I'll make my decision after the 5 games.
Yeah, I'll get back to that point real quick. But he said, yeah, you were so quick to write off Dobbs. We watched 9 games or 8 games of Josh Dobbs play football. We watched him have 3 or 4 good games and fall off a cliff. I wasn't so quick to write anybody off. After week 1, I was skeptical, right?
Yeah.
Like, I was like, okay, that's crazy. Week 2, I mean, did Josh Dobbs do anything week 1 that impressed you against the Commanders?
Josh Dobbs? No.
In the game, we scored 9 points and fumbled like 3 times. Didn't do anything for me, genuinely. Did he do anything when he choked a franchise historic lead against the New York Giants?
Giants, yeah.
Didn't do anything for me.
Yeah.
What about the Dallas Cowboys? That was a crazy win, right?
Very crazy.
How about when he continues to lose out the rest of his starts?
Yeah.
Was I so quick to write him off? No. What about when he choked the Cincinnati game for us when we needed every positive momentum, couldn't turn the ball over, and Josh Dobbs threw a pick and looked horrible?
Yeah.
Horrible. I'm pretty sure he fumbled in the 4th quarter. He threw a pick in the 4th quarter too, threw that pick at halftime. How am I so quick to write him off though? Or am I just evaluating the quarterback that we have, right? Like he's not good. Josh Dobbs isn't good. He's a backup quarterback. We know his ceiling. He's a backup quarterback. That's all I'm going to say. Like Josh Dobbs, I didn't want to trade Josh Dobbs. I think he's a good backup quarterback. And if we weren't going to pay him, then the move makes sense.
Exactly.
Right? Like then it makes sense. And I'm fine with it. But like I never called for him to get traded. But Josh Dobbs isn't a good quarterback. He's solid. He's a good backup, right? Like he's a good backup. Is he a starter? Absolutely not. He's not a top 35 quarterback in the league.
Yeah,
Can you agree?
I agree with that. No, I think we both agree with the whole Josh Dobbs thing. I mean, the people that come after us and said, you said Clayton 2 was better. To me, the frustration got to, no, it's not. No, yeah, don't think he is. At one point on Instagram, I made a really, post that because I was pissed off with Josh Dobbs. I was like, let's make the switch already. So I did say Clayton 2 is better, but like, I didn't really believe Clayton Tune is better. It's just the fact that like I need to see what this kid can do, because you can save $7-8 million if Clayton Tune plays equally to the same amount of how Josh Dobbs is giving you. But and that's the thing too. Like we can't really compare. We can't really like evaluate Clayton Tune to what he's done exactly with the same stuff that we've been saying about Kyler, right? Because we really put him in the worst position. If Kyler came back against the Cleveland Browns, I almost promise you that probably would be very close to the same results. Yes, he would be putting up yards, but we would have lost that game badly because the Cleveland Browns were that dominant on defense. I think we would have put points up, but it probably would have looked like a Browns game. I'm sorry, a Rams game, to be honest with you.
And then he said in the chat too, real quick, I just want to address it. He said Kyler is playing just like Dobbs. Do you think Kyler's playing just like Dobbs? I think crazy comment. Kyler's way better than Josh Dobbs had. We had like a 5-game stretch where Josh Dobbs looked abysmal. Kyler had one bad game. Obviously, the Texans game, there were a lot of like 3rd down conversions that obviously we needed to convert to win, or we just kick a couple field goals.
That's a tough one, Mythic. I'm not gonna lie to you. That's a tough one.
I think Kyler's been leaps and boundaries ahead. Obviously, he's not playing up to Kyler Murray expectations, but he's playing better than Josh Dobbs did coming off an ACL tear.
Are you talking about like? I guess let me ask the question, or I guess be more specific, not to you, but for the person in the chat. Are we saying like the 8 games played here in the Arizona Cardinals? Are we comparing the Cardinals or the Vikings? Because I think that's kind of unfair, judgment.
The Cardinals Vikings is tough because the Vikings are a talented team. Even with no Justin Jefferson.
Right.
They're a talented team.
Agreed.
So, I mean, that team should have been in the playoffs. I was surprised they started off that bad. They started getting things going, though.
Right. It's hard for me to say Kyler Murray's playing better than Josh Dobbs because we only seen 3 games of Kyler Murray. Come back and let me get a fair adjustment with 8 games and 8 games. I don't think I would say Kyler Murray's been playing great compared to Josh Dobbs, because that's unfair to Josh Dobbs to me. Ain't unfair to Kyler Murray because we're seeing a 3-game to an 8-game sample size. Yes, Kyler Murray got a first win his first game, and that completely gave us expectation. Oh, here we go. But come back to me after. Come back to me after because I don't think I can give a fair adjustment. I think I would give the nod to Kyler Murray just because of Kyler Murray's name and because he's franchise quarterback. And I don't feel like that's fair to either of the two guys. So come back to me later when I ask that question.
And then the one point that I was going to make was the Justin Herbert thing.
Oh, yeah,
Justin Herbert, in my opinion, is a franchise quarterback. He has talent around him too. Like he is talent.
Yeah,
That Chargers team has no excuse of being bad. And Justin Herbert through 60 games still has a losing record.
Yeah.
Still has a losing record, just like Kyler does. But Kyler took over one of the worst teams, right? Like this Chargers team literally has done everything in their power to go get talent. The defense should be way better, but for some reason the defense is horrible. They have a bunch of big names, star players over there. Mike Williams obviously keeps getting hurt, but like they have Keenan Allen, they have a first-round receiver. Like they have a ton of people. Justin Herbert looks phenomenal, but that team is losing games with a losing record. Kyler Murray has a losing record with the Cardinals. Do you think Trevor Lawrence is a franchise quarterback? It's tough, but I mean, he has a losing record too. He's 19-25. So, I mean, like there's players who are deemed franchise quarterbacks that I think are franchise quarterbacks too. Like I think T-Law and Herbert are franchise quarterbacks too. I feel like it's going to take a little longer for them, but yeah.
Yeah, so my definition of franchise quarterback is completely different. Obviously, my expectation is playoffs, Super Bowl consistently. That's my like Lamar Jackson. That's franchise quarterback to me. He's not prototypical, but man's always in contention to do something. That's
I get that too.
You know what I mean? Lamar Jackson to me is franchise quarterback. He hasn't really accomplished very much other than the fact that I think he's an MVP race.
He won the MVP.
He has or hasn't?
He has. He's a one-time MVP.
Okay.
And he's taken the team multiple times, but he has no playoff success.
But that's the thing.
So, he diminishes in the playoffs though.
True.
Like he just absolutely falls off. I love Lamar. I think Lamar gets so much hate for having no receiver help. But Lamar hasn't done anything, but people are so quick because he has that MVP. But like I think Lamar is a franchise quarterback. I do. I genuinely do. But Lamar struggles with the same things Kyler does. He has no playoff success, and Lamar's been more times than we have. I believe he has one win, if I'm not mistaken, but his stats in the playoffs aren't great. And then Lamar also deals with the injuries too. Like Lamar is constantly banged up and missing games.
Yeah, I think the success of the Baltimore Ravens clouds the judgment of, because you can throw a freaking another quarterback back there and they could still freaking win games. And
that's
I think
I'm saying.
That's a big thing. Well, here's the thing. What I guess has Lamar Jackson had the weapons that Kyler Murray has?
Lamar?
Yes.
No. Oh, he has Mark Andrews though.
Yeah, he does.
That's the top 3 tight end in the league, one of the best receiving tight ends in the game. So it's tough because Kyler's had D-Hop, Christian Kirk, who I think is really good, but he had D-Hop for what, 1 season, 2 seasons? He had D-Hop for 2 seasons. 2 seasons in like a game.
So you would agree that Kyler Murray has had better weapons in the longevity of both of their careers than Lamar Jackson has, right? Weapons.
I would say it's pretty consistent. Okay. Kyler hasn't really had a great running back until James Conner was signed. Lamar hasn't had. They really both aren't. Like, obviously, we had D-Hop and they have Mark Andrews, but then it's like outside of that, you have like a guy here and there who like makes plays and then is gone. Like Christian Kirk looked pretty good and they let him go. So, and then we had Larry on the back end of his career where Larry was just like 36 years old.
Right.
It obviously brings things to the game that not anyone else can do, but Larry was way past his prime. Zach Ertz we had. I might give the edge to Kyler just because there are better players, but it's just like the people we have just aren't sustainable long term.
No, like, that's fair. That's fair.
I see where we have like consistent players. Like we have Fitz on the back end, Christian Kirk for a couple seasons, and you let him go. Zach Ertz, who we trade in. D-Hop for 2 seasons, and then a game or 2 in the next season. Then Kyler tears his ACL. So it's like,
valid point. Valid point. I still think Kyler Murray has had better weapons than Lamar. Personally, I think so. I don't think Lamar has ever had a number 1 wide receiver. ever
Yeah.
have a number one wide receiver, ever had a number one wide receiver like the short time that Kyler Murray has, right? Larry Fitzgerald has still been doing it even before he left that last year. Larry Fitzgerald. He had DeAndre Hopkins, he had Christian Kirk, where we had the weapons. And Lamar Jackson's season career win-loss record, 58-24, compared to Kyler Murray's 26-33-1. Now, yes, a lot of things are going to the favor of Lamar Jackson. The coach, brilliant. Harbaugh is amazing. The Baltimore Ravens organization, leaps and bounds, consistent success of beautiful organization that should be ran exactly the way that organization is being ran. I agree with you. Everything is going good for Lamar Jackson, but that's my difference between a Lamar Jackson franchise quarterback. And yes, maybe he might not win a Lombardi, right? But his team is consistently being there, and just the win-loss record is just absolutely crazy. Kyler Murray, I feel like, has had more weapons than Lamar Jackson has, and Lamar Jackson is still winning.
You know what? I feel like Lamar has had more and way better leaps and boundaries than Kyler Murray's ever had. Is that offensive line?
That's
Their offensive
fair.
line
That's
is
fair.
way better than ours
That's
has
fair.
ever been. We've had 1 year of an offensive line that was basically holstered by one player. And obviously that's unfair to say, but you had Beachum. You had, I don't remember who our right guard was. Everyone hated him. Who was our right guard? Max Garcia. We had Max Garcia, who was slotted in. We had Rodney Hudson. We had Justin Pugh, DJ Humphreys. Like, we had a decent line for 1 year. And Rodney Hudson, we literally lived and died as Rodney Hudson played.
I agree
that
with that
season.
100% agree.
Literally
lived
and died as Rodney Hudson went. And I believe we were like 8-1 or 8-2 on the season with Rodney Hudson. We were like 7-0 at one point, and then he goes down and we lose, and it's like, wow,
yeah,
crazy. And then we just keep losing without him. And it's like, wow, okay, so this guy does have an impact. Like, this guy is the offensive line. So I feel like the offensive line plays a huge factor. I mean, Kyler has advocated multiple times for us to draft people.
Yeah,
like,
that's very true.
One of those was a center. I believe it was Tyler Linderbaum, who has been pretty dang good in the NFL. So,
yeah,
I mean,
there's also
Tristan Wirfs too.
Creed
Lamb.
Creed Humphreys.
Creed Humphrey,
yeah. Him. I think Tristan
Tyler
Wirfs was also
Linderbaum,
thrown in
Tristan
there as
Wirfs,
well.
CeeDee
Yeah.
Lamb.
Yep.
I mean, he's advocated for star linemen, right? If we can get that line, Kyler Murray is protected. We could have Paris on the left, Tristan Wirfs on the right, Tyler Linderbaum, Creed Humphrey. Like, we got people, but instead we got nobody. We got Paris Johnson, and it's like, dang.
And DJ Humphreys
That's
almost kind of
crazy.
his
DJ
his way out.
Humphreys on his way out, right?
Yeah, I agree
Maybe
with
a
that.
year more of DJ Humphreys.
Yeah.
Crazy.
It is wild. No, I agree with that. Let's move over here to Steelers versus Cardinals real quick. We don't have very much time, but what are your thoughts on this game? Do you think we'll win? Do you think there's a potential win here for the Cardinals? Cardinals versus Steelers.
I want to say yes, because this is like the last game. I mean, I said the Cardinals were going to lose to the Texans, but then I kind of like backtracked and said we're going to win. But like when we made the predictions, I said it was going to be, what did I say? Oh, wait, no, the Rams were the last one. I said we were going to beat the Rams. And that didn't happen. So I was 2-1 on my predictions because the Texans lost.
Mm-hmm.
Let's see if I can bank it and go 3-1. I don't know. It's tough because they just fired Matt Canada and look great on offense. And it's like, of course, just go get your momentum now. And the Steelers defense looks great. That defense is tough, and it always is. So I want to say there's going to be fight. I think this is going to be a fought game, and it can go either way. But I'm going to say the Cardinals drop it.
Yeah. Do you think it's going to be competitive? I guess that's the question.
I think it'll
right?
be competitive.
You think it's going to be competitive? Okay.
I think the defense is crazy. We're going to face some good defenses in this back end. Eagles, 49ers, Pittsburgh, Chicago.
Throw Chicago in there. Thank you. Yes, I agree with you.
We got good defenses coming here. And like, that's the thing with Chicago. We might lose, right? Like, we really might. Like, I don't know how banged up we're going to be. I don't know what the situation's going to be. I don't know if we're just full tank mode. I don't know. It's tough. And of course, Cards fans said it in chat. We're going to see Pat P again.
Yeah.
Again, we play him every single year since he's been off the team. So I believe he's 1-1 against us.
I hope for the sake of the Cardinals that we are competitive. I don't think we're gonna win this game. A
No,
lot
I
of
don't
things are
either.
stacked up against us. Mike Tomlin, fantastic head coach. Oh my God, one of the best head coaches in the NFL. And it consistent. It doesn't matter that you lose a Tom Brady. It doesn't matter. Bill Belichick. No, Mike Tomlin is my number one head. That man is a genius. It doesn't matter who his quarterback is. This man's winning still. Okay, I digress. I don't think we're gonna win this game.
I agree.
I do think that for the sake of the Arizona Cardinals, they need to be competitive in this game. They need to be competitive. I'm not saying win. I say be competitive. I think the Steelers are number one in takeaways. When you look at the Steelers in terms of like comparing the defense compared to a lot, they're kind of mid. They're not like the best defense, but they're not the worst either. So I think this defense or this game is going to really determine on obviously what big crucial moments can be turned away or what can be taken away, right? And those big turnovers. TJ Watt, I fear this man. I'm going to have nightmares the day before because our offensive line is god awful and TJ Watt is going to feast. Just like somebody in the chat said, he's going to feast. And I fear for Kyler Murray's safety, for Kyler Murray's play in this game because he needs to be competitive.
Yeah. I mean, our line last game to a Rams team, obviously of Aaron Donald, it felt like Kyler Murray was surrounded and just hawked with
All the
nowhere to
time.
go. Like the pocket was just collapsed. So I don't know how it's going to look against the Steelers. I'm not necessarily fearing it, but obviously TJ Watt is a freak.
Right.
So I think he's the best edge in the league.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's tough. Like TJ Watt it's him or Garrett. And you can't really go wrong either way.
I agree.
You really can't. You can't go wrong either way. So it's tough.
And then after the bye week, we got Bosa and Chase Young.
It's just, and then just knowing how this is going to go, right? Just come back to this little clip or just remember it for all 34 of you who are tuned in. Just watch Shaq Leonard going to sign to Philly. And then we're going to have to play a Philadelphia team with Darius Leonard getting reps. Obviously, Philadelphia is crazy. They have Fletcher Cox. They have Jalen Carter, Jordan Davis, Hassan Reddick. Like, they just have players on players on players. And it's like, I just feel like they're going to sign Darius Leonard. His first game back is going to be against the Cardinals. He's going to get slotted, make a play. And it's like, of course.
Yeah.
Like,
oh, yeah.
Here we go.
Yeah. It definitely will happen for sure. All right, y'all. Appreciate everybody for tuning in. We're going to close up shop. I wanted a little over, but no worries. I think this was definitely a very good conversation back and forth. And everybody in the chat, appreciate you guys for obviously tuning in. If you guys haven't already, smack the like button. Definitely do it for the algorithm. Smack it up and subscribe as well if you do like this kind of back and forth and just kind of talking about our favorite team, the Arizona Cardinals. We got 5 games left. We got one more game before the bye week, and we got the Steelers coming up this weekend. So for the sake of the Arizona Cardinals, just like I said earlier, please be competitive. That's all I got to say. I don't expect to win. I don't think we're going to win. But we'll have to kind of wait and see how it all shakes out. So any last thoughts, Mythic, before we let everybody go?
I think that's it. It's just state of the team, man. State of the team. You just keep going. Keep going through with the motions. And just pray we get the number 2 or number 1 overall pick.
All right, y'all. All right. Appreciate everyone for tuning in as always. Have a great rest of your day and go Cards.